Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set, cocked, locked. Here we go. Your dial set correctly to USA Prepares. We're delighted you're in class with us. Alex is engineering the broadcast in Minnesota. Dr. Norman Shealy is with us. Dr. Shealy, are you blissed?
Yes.
Yeah, me too. So, Dr. Shealy, I've got a question for you. I don't know how you do it. I've been thinking about, what's going on with America. Why are people making so many dumb decisions? Why are they? And I was thinking about my dear friend, Dr. Norman Shealy. And I was thinking, okay, so Dr. Shealy meets people, and they say, Dr. Shealy, I've got this pain, this malady. This hurts, that hurts. And then Dr. Shealy has answers for him. And I'll bet you not everybody follows your advice. Is that right?
You bet.
Okay.
You mean you want me to give up bread? You want me to give up sugar? You want me to move? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, can't all be perfect like us, but they could try.
I can't get over it. Financial decisions, people are making, stupid financial decisions. They are making stupid health decisions. They are making stupid dietary decisions. They're using cell phones. I got an email from Bert Bertonis. He's one of our instructors. And let me see if I can bring this up. Okay. I'm going to read. I didn't get his permission, but I'm going to read it. Bert is a electronic and electrical engineer. He's a degreed engineer. He's got a master's in business as well as a bachelor's of science in electrical engineering and electronic engineering. So he sent me this email. John McCain and Ted Kennedy died on the same day, 9 years apart, from the exact form of brain cancer, glioblastoma, if I'm saying it right. Both drank a lot of alcohol and both used cell phones extensively. That's what he said. And I believe that to be absolutely true. And Johnny Cochran, O.J. Simpson's attorney, died, I believe, of brain cancer as well. And Dr. Shealy, it seems to me that people have no idea what they're doing with those cell phones, and yet they put them on their kitchen tables. They don't leave anywhere without them. They've got them next to their heads all night long on the nightstands. They refuse to be without them. In case somebody might call or text them,
Well, you can't fix stupid.
So
it's like almost a genetic defect.
I think it's an addiction as well as a...
No question. It is unequivocally a serious addiction. People get killed frequently by texting and talking on phones while driving or walking across the street while looking at a stupid phone or talking on it.
Right.
I mean, it's crazy.
How important is it, at that moment that they do that? I'm at a loss for words as to what I think has happened to the average American, just getting dumber by the second. And I can't imagine that these frequencies at these levels can be enhancing our intelligence. It can't be. It's got to be.
No, they're subtracting.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. I mean, if you put a hot dog in a microwave oven and cook it, it didn't get any smarter.
And it got less healthy than it was to start with, because the protein, the amino acids, are partially destroyed.
Okay, so how is it possible?
I don't have a microwave.
Yeah. So, Dr. Shealy, if a microwave oven is operating at the same frequency as a cell phone, how is it possible that you cannot damage your brain by talking with the cell phone touching your face? How is it? Is it possible at all that you're not damaging?
No.
At some level. And I was thinking about going to the store. When someone in our family, one of us, goes to the store, goes to town, and going to town is at least a 40-mile round trip. Actually, it's probably 50 minimum. So what happens is we have a list, and the list is available to all of us. And our boys, Mrs. Finelli, I all have access to the list. And the list is one where we can write, for example, oil filters. We can write, some food items that we'd like to pick up, some produce, for example. And we can annotate that list all the way up until the point where someone goes to the store. Now, when someone goes to the store, like they may say, okay, I'm going to the big town. We'll call it Springfield, for example. Does anyone need anything else? I've got the list. Any plumbing, heating, electrical, food, liquids, supplies. Does anybody need anything else? Everyone is polled in the family for what they might want. That's annotated at the last minute to the list, and then that person goes off. Or it may be 3 or 4 people all going, or maybe just one. And we make every trip count, and it's deliberate, and we know why we're going. Now, let's contrast that with what typically happens. Someone just leaves the house, doesn't tell anybody. This is not our house. This would be someone else's house. Leaves the house, doesn't tell anyone, goes to the store, and says, I'm here. Calls on the phone, I'm here. What do you want? I don't know. Haven't thought about it. That's the way Americans operate today. And how do I know this? Because these people drive their shopping carts into me because they don't see me.
You're looking at their car.
Right, because they're on the phone, absolutely oblivious to any and everything around them. They'll stop with their shopping cart in the middle of the aisle. No one can get around to the left or the right. And while they just, are looking at the shelf, totally zoned out, not really being able to concentrate, because I believe the phone, the frequencies of the cell phone, and whatever happens in the mind when you talk on a telephone, whether it be a cell phone or not, totally removes them, or almost totally removes them from reality. I really mean that.
You're right. But, theoretically, I mean, I'm not quite sure, so from a moral point of view, but from a personal life point of view, you have a right to commit suicide. Now, I would not encourage it. I would try to talk you out of it if I had a chance, but I can't stop you. But you don't have a right to kill other people with your stupidity.
Mm-hmm. Or leave your children without parents by killing yourself with cell phones.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've mentioned this before, Dr. Shealy. I think it bears repeating. When I was a computer consultant in Virginia back in the 90s and early 2000s, even to the mid-2000s, I said to the school districts, I will not be part of wireless communications, wireless networking within the school system. I will not be part of it, because in 15 years, I know that we're going to find out that these microwave transmissions from notebook computers, from wireless printers, from access points, all of these telemetry type devices, all of this is going to cause cancer, and we're going to learn about it. And I will not build a computer laboratory in a classroom where you have maybe 30 computers all transmitting wirelessly, the access point transmitting to all those computers, and the printer transmitting to the access point. And then we have the steel roof, we have reflectivity on the walls, and then the students are in there for, let's say, one period, which might be 50 minutes, it might be 55 minutes, but the teacher in that computer lab will be there all day. And some people feel microwaves. I do. Most people don't. They can't feel it. I'll say, can you feel it? No, can't feel it. Well, I can feel it, and it's giving me a headache, and I'm getting out of here now. So I know that this is true. I know that it causes health damage. I know that it puts your brain in stupid mode. I know all these things for certain. I mean, this is not conjecture. But yet, and so I said that I won't be part of it. And there was no wireless communications within the school building as long as I was there. Literally. I prevented it. I was able to convince the superintendents that this is dangerous. But when I left, and when those superintendents moved on, wireless communications were implemented. Because it's so convenient. Heck, you don't have to have the wire. Really? But you do have to have a wire, because if you want to charge that notebook computer, you have to plug it in. So what's wrong with having a physical Ethernet cable? One more wire. What's wrong with that? You get way more speed, and it's safer, way safer.
But it's not addicting. And I suppose something that's so easily addicting is attractive to a lot of people. They don't know that that's what is happening, but they suddenly, instead of having to use their brain for something else, they suddenly keep it occupied. They don't have to think.
They don't have to think. I think you hit the nail right on the head. They don't have to think, and then after a while of not having to think, it's hard to think. And then it gets harder to think. Well, I'm thinking about, people who don't exercise and they put those pounds on, and then it's harder to exercise because they put the pounds on, then they put some more pounds on because they didn't exercise, then it's harder to exercise, and it's just a spiral. We'll be right back. Dr. Norm Shealy, normshealy.com. Plus, Dr. Norman Shealy is with us, normshealy.com, NORMSHEALY.com. Dr. Shealy, if those listening to this broadcast class would like to contact you, come visit you and Dr. Sergey Soren in your clinic in Springfield, Missouri, how would you like them to contact you?
Well, they can contact them by email, norm@normshealy.com, or 417-351-5221.
417-351-5221. Dr. Shealy, I'm reading an article on CNN. And normally I don't read articles on CNN, but there's one, even the lame media has decided that maybe they ought to start talking about cell phones and cancer concern. Here's the article. Headline, CNN.com. Brain tumors. Brain tumors on the rise in England. Raising cell phone concerns. The incidence rate of aggressive malignant brain tumors in England has more than doubled in recent decades. A new study questions what could be driving that rise. The rate of glioblastoma climbed from 2.4 to 5 per 100,000 people in England between 1995 and 2015, according to this new study published Wednesday in the Journal of Environmental and Public Health. The data analyzed in the study only reflected trends in brain cancer cases and do not shed light on why these trends could have occurred. But researchers pointed to the examples of lifestyle factors that they think could have played a role. Among those factors, they briefly, let me say it a different way, briefly referenced previous studies on cell phone use and possibly being associated with brain tumors and changes in the brain. The paper itself is not about cell phones. It's just about this change in the tumors. But cell phones seem like really they are the most likely cause. So now they're saying that it looks like the cell phones are the cause for the doubling of these aggressive, non-treatable brain tumors.
I've been thinking for 20 years. Or more.
And so, Dr. Shealy, let me ask you, do you have a cell phone in your pocket, on your desk, right in front of you, with you at all times?
No. Well, I carry a flip phone, in my computer case when I travel. Uh-huh. And that computer, in case of emergency, I will use it. But actually, I almost never use it even when traveling. And I certainly wouldn't leave it on my body. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was the point I was going to make. I can understand. I can literally understand having one in case of an emergency, because if you're flying somewhere, you're at the mercy of people you don't know. The pilot, they're going to tell you where to sit. They're going to tell you to put your hands up. They're going to tell you they're going to search you. They're going to tell you they're going to put their hands down your pants. I mean, you are at the mercy of so many people when you're traveling. So I can understand having a flip phone that you can shut off, a non-smartphone, one that is used just for that purpose, to get you out of an emergency. I can understand that. But I cannot understand the 24/7 addiction to cell phones. And I had the opportunity to sit down with several people, and I didn't say anything like, yo, put your cell phones away, okay? Would that be all right? Because, we're all having a chat here. But I got a chance to see what it's like. And I was in a room with several people. Cell phones were on the table. Everybody had his or hers within 12 inches of their hand at all times. At all times. Yeah. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. Chatting around the table and, discussion. And those darn cell phones are a distraction, they're a nuisance, and they're impolite, let alone deadly. Dr. Shealy and I'll be right back. Dr. Shealy's with us, Dr. Norm Shealy. Up first is Sharon in Montana. Next will be Maria in Maine. Welcome, Sharon.
Good morning. Hey,
good morning.
Not to discount the effects of cell phones, because I definitely think they have a negative effect on you, but I suspect that genetically modified food has a much higher effect, since people are eating probably over 80% of their food is genetically modified. And in the book Seeds of Deception by Jeffrey Smith, he lists a lot of animal studies, the rats, and one of the things that showed up a lot in the rats that were eating this, and sometimes only 25% of their diet was GMO, were brain cancers. And then the males were underdeveloped, and they were real passive, and the female rats were extremely aggressive. And there were lots of other types of tumors and cancers in the rats that were fed. So it seems to me I see this huge incidence of cancer popping up all over, not just brain cancer. And I suspect myself that that's a big part of it.
Well, all I can say is I agree. Mm-hmm. I consider it one of the greatest stupidities of humanity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just think that people might want to try to minimize it at least. I mean, getting rid of it completely is really difficult. But, the less you consume, probably the healthier you'll be.
Mm-hmm. Sharon and Dr. Shealy, I have in front of me something that I wanted to mention. And what I find fascinating, just as an aside, is how our instructors and I are thinking about the same thing. We're on the same page at the same time. I find it absolutely fascinating. For example, I was mentioning to Rich Scheben yesterday, something I'd like to talk about. And he already had decided he wanted to talk about the same thing. And so, Sharon, here's that list of the list of products and foods that have tested positive for Monsanto's carcinogenic glyphosate. This is Waking Times, WAKING Times.com, okay? And it was published August 17th, 2018. Here it is.
And you are aware that Monsanto lost its first lawsuit last week about causing cancer. $200+ million. And there are 4,000 cases waiting to be heard. I hope every one of them is doing $1+ million.
I hope so,
absolutely.
Too.
Kill the SOBs forever. I'm not a violent person, but I honestly believe that that company needs to be destroyed.
I agree. And not just that company. There are plenty of companies.
Well, that's there as well, of course, and a few others.
Yeah, and maybe a church or two. I'm thinking about the Roman Catholic Pedophile Society. Products and foods which have tested positive for glyphosate contamination. In the wheat aisle, breakfast cereals and snack foods as tested by the Detox Project 2016. Original Cheerios, Honey Nut Cheerios, Wheaties, Trix, Annie's gluten-free bunny cookies and cocoa and vanilla, Kellogg's Corn Flakes, Kellogg's Raisin Bran, Kashi Organic Promise, Kellogg's Special K, Kellogg's Frosted Flakes, Cheez-It Original, Cheez-It Whole Grain, Kashi Soft Baked Cookies, Oatmeal, Dark Chocolate, Ritz Crackers, Triscuit Crackers. You know, Mrs. Finelli, when we'd have company over, she'd buy Triscuits, you know, as a treat for those attending. Triscuit Crackers. Let me say it a different way. Triscuit Crackers, Oreo Original, Oreo Double Stuffed Chocolate Sandwich Cookies. I mean, I'm going to go on for 5 minutes. So, Stacy's Simply Naked Pita Chips. That's made by Frito-Lay. Lay's Kettle Cooked Original. Doritos Cool Ranch. Fritos Original. That's the 100% whole grain ones. Goldfish Crackers, the original Pepperidge Farm. Goldfish Crackers Colors, whatever that is. Goldfish Crackers Whole Grain. Little Debbie's Cream Pies. Oatmeal Cookies gluten-free. 365 organic golden round crackers. Back to Nature crispy cheddar crackers. Now that's just breakfast cereals. Then we go on to...
It's disturbing in that even the organic stuff supposedly has it.
Well, 80% of all the food available for sale in this country is junk. 60% of all the food in a grocery store is pure, unadulterated junk. And 45% of all food eaten comes from McDonald's and its clones. And I wouldn't even trust a cup of coffee at McDonald's because they probably put monosodium glutamate in it, like everything else.
To continue a little bit more on this list, breakfast cereals, okay? Breakfast cereals. Granola. Nature's Path Organic Honey Almond Granola. Back to Nature. Classic granola. Quaker. Let me say it a different way. Quaker. Let me say it a slightly different way. Quaker. Now, people have previously trusted Quaker, right? Well, Quaker Simply Granola, oats, honey, raisins, and almonds. Back to Nature. Banana, walnut, granola clusters. Nature Valley Granola, protein, oats, and honey. Kind, K-I-N-D, vanilla blueberry clusters with flaxseed. Now, Instant Oats, Giant brand Instant Oatmeal, the original flavor. Simple Truth Organic Instant Oatmeal. Quaker Dinosaur Egg, brown sugar Instant Oatmeal. Great Value Original, that would be, Great Value would be the Chinese factory outlet brand, Original Instant Oatmeal. UMPQUA Oats, Maple Pecan. And Market Pantry Instant Oatmeal, Strawberries, and Cream. Now, I'm not done. This is horrible. Now, Dr. Shealy, just to put an exclamation point on what you've been saying for at least 7 years. Now, I know you've been saying it longer, but I can vouch for 7 years of you saying that most of the food in the supermarket is junk. And here, class, Here you have evidence of what Dr. Shealy has been saying over and over and over and over and over and over again. Absolutely true. Class, if you listen to Dr. Shealy and you just decide to believe what he says the first time you hear it, you're going to do yourself a service. You will do yourself a service. You don't have to wait 7 years to listen to it over and over and over and over and over again. Just believe him the first time because he's right. Over and over. So they have some oat breakfast cereal. Okay? Kashi heart-to-heart organic honey toasted cereal. Cheerios toasted whole grain cereal. What can be better than Cheerios toasted whole grain oat cereal? What could be better than that? Well, maybe
How
Lucky
about
Charms.
Alpo?
That's on the list too.
You might as well eat Alpo.
Barbara's multigrain spoonfuls original cereal. Kellogg's. What could be better than Kellogg's Cracklin' Oat Bran oat cereal? How about snack bars? Cascadian Farm Organic Harvest Berry Granola Bar. Kind brand oats and honey with toasted coconut. Nature Valley Crunchy Granola Bars. Oats and honey. What could be better than oats and honey? I guess oats and honey with glyphosate. Kellogg's Nutrigrain Soft Baked. Yes.
How about a little
Kellogg's
arsenic in your cereal?
Well, yeah. I'm sure many of them have arsenic in them, in at some level. Dr. Shealy, so I'm really not done, and I don't want to. I'll post this on the website, but it's not just whole oats. Tropicana orange juice, Minute Maid orange juice, Signature Farms, Kirkland. What's Kirkland? That would be Sam's Club, Kirkland, and Stater Brothers. And then staple crops, soybean fodder, cottonseed, maize grain, sorghum, lentils, sweet corn, sugar beets. And then, if you don't eat it, it's okay. You can wear it because women's feminine hygiene products have it in them. Human breast milk, vaccines, cotton clothing products. What would that be? I'm trying to think. Blue jeans, T-shirts, under scoobs, or as Radar O'Reilly used to say on MASH, underneaths, rainwater.
What about the fact, how about your toilet paper with estrogen in it?
There you go. Wipe yourself a big butt. I'm sorry to be graphic. I now know that Kim Kardashian probably uses toilet paper. And a lot of it. I'm sorry, class, to throw a little humor in there, but she, sure looks like it. Sharon, I'm sorry for monopolizing this conversation. What are your thoughts?
Well, the world is poison. But this began roughly 100 years ago or more with the chemical changes artificially placed upon everything.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Shealy, it's clear to me that we're better off growing our own fruits, vegetables, beef. However, according to this article, and you've said it here on the air many times, rainwater samples.
Right.
Rainwater contains glyphosate. Rainwater.
Yep. I believe that basically Satan has used crimes against humanity as real as any murderer in history.
Sharon, would you like to hold with us and tell us the rest of your thoughts? Okay,
Thanks.
Great. Well, class, I think what you're hearing is large corporations are not the kinder, friendlier, gentler corporations that we might have been deceived into thinking that they are. We're back. Sharon in Montana, USA preparedness instructor, has joined us by telephone. Dr. Norman Shealy is with us. Sharon, you had some more comments for Dr. Shealy?
Yeah. As you said from your list, it's really, you can gather from your list, it's really difficult to minimize or eliminate a lot of that stuff. You can try to avoid all those particular projects, and you can maybe try to buy locally, and I guess organic would be better than none. But what I was wondering is, Dr. Shealy, if you have any ideas on how we might try to detox our bodies since we're being subjected to all this stuff, because I don't know that we can totally get rid of it.
Well, my two favorite ways for detoxing are sweating, which you can do in a sauna or in a bathtub with hot water, or a castor oil suit, where after you've taken your bath or shower, you rub castor oil from the bottom of your neck down to your wrists and all the way down your body, front and back to your ankles. Put on a sweatsuit and sleep in it overnight.
That would be interesting.
It's very safe, extremely safe, and extremely useful.
Okay.
And how often, Dr. Shealy? How often does one do this? How often does one do this?
Well, it depends on how toxic you are. Now, I do a hot soak probably at least 5 days a week because I just like it. And, of course, I always put some magnesium chloride salt into it as well. But it's the sweating that's the really important part. And I guess I like to sweat. But yesterday I did not take a hot soak because I actually lost 4 pounds while out gardening, and I had to drink 8 glasses of water to catch up.
Wow. Well, that's actually all I wanted to ask, because I always like to try to figure out what is a solution or at least something to minimize the negative, So I will let you guys continue on. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Marina in Maine, and then Jeff in Florida. Marina, welcome.
Hello, Dr. Shealy.
Good morning.
Hi, is Sergey there with you?
I'm sorry?
Sergey Sorin, is you there with you too?
Unfortunately,
she's asking,
I can't hear her.
Dr. Shealy, she's asking if Sergey Sorin is with you.
Oh, well, he's not in the office right now, but he will be here later today.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to say hello because I speak with him often. Anyway, so I do have a couple of questions. One is I started having kidney stones, and it's repeating now. So do you have any kind of a good suggestion for kidney stones?
Well, if they're calcium kidney stones, which 90% of them are, yes, first of all, you need magnesium lotion, and secondly, you need vitamin B6, 100 milligrams every day.
Okay.
That will prevent or markedly reduce the frequency of kidney stones.
Okay. Yes. Also, I've noticed that that happens often after I take certain antibiotics. Could that be the case?
Well, I don't know any reason to use antibiotics in a kidney stone.
No. Okay. Okay. That's good.
Dr. Shealy, I think Marina, hold on 1 second, please. Dr. Shealy, I believe she was asking about getting kidney stones or developing kidney stones after taking antibiotics. Is that what you were saying, Marina?
Oh, well, I think there's a very minimal increase with antibiotics. It's mostly a metabolic defect with lack of adequate magnesium and lack of adequate vitamin B6.
Okay, thank you. Another one, gallstones, small gallstones. What do you suggest if they're not acute, if it's not really a big bother? Is there any way of preventing this? Or
well, you have to be careful about those because if they're big enough, they can block the bile duct. But if they're very tiny, you can pass them with a liver flush.
Liver flush. Okay, so small ones, you can do a liver flush with it, right?
Yes. If you look it up on the internet, you'll find a way to do the liver flush.
Everyone all set? Cocked? Locked? Here we go. Hour number 2 of the USA Prepares. Dr. Norman Shealy is with us. Marina in Maine is with us. Marina, you had some questions about liver flushing. Is that correct?
Yes, liver flushing, please.
Well, Jethro Close in Back to Eden is my favorite naturalist, herbalist, if you will. And to my knowledge, he is the sort of originator of the so-called liver flush. Basically, you eat a lot of apples, if I remember correctly, for several days, and then on the day of the liver flush, you take a huge amount of olive oil and lemon juice. And I've had several patients who brought me in the gallstones that they passed doing that. Now, you must be certain that you have no big gallstones. If they're a centimeter in size, don't try it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's it. Dr. Shealy, do you do any Skype consultations?
You know, Vince, unfortunately, I just don't understand her accent.
I think, are you asking for telephone consultations, Marina? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, telephone or Skype consultations, yes.
Telephone or Skype consultations, Dr. Shealy?
We do those. They have to be arranged through the office.
Okay. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Marina. Okay, there goes Marina. Now, Dr. Shealy, you mentioned gallstones not over 1 centimeter of an inch. So, class,
well, not even that size. I would like them like a half a centimeter, 5 millimeters.
Okay, so a half a centimeter would be a little bit less than a quarter of an inch, class. So, in case you're wondering what that would be, less than 1/4 of an inch. 1 centimeter is about 4/10 of 1 inch. Just to be clear. Okay.
Right.
Is that right, Dr. Shealy? That's what you're saying, correct?
Yes, you got it.
Okay. Back in the 1960s, Dr. Shealy, I remember telephone etiquette, at least my telephone etiquette. And it went something like this. Hello, Mrs. Smith. This is Vincent Finelli. May I speak to Peter, please? That's kind of the way it was, probably for most people, most young people, for sure. Today, telephone etiquette's a little different. It's, you answer the phone, you say, hello. So what are you doing? That's what people say to me. What are you doing? Or, where are you? And my response is always the same. Who is this? And it's none of your business. I mean, really, how do we get to this point where telephones are so destructive? I saw a young person, probably 4th, 5th, or 6th grade, with a smartphone. Really? Why is that? Why does a person that young have a smartphone? And that person was clinging to it. I mean, it was like, you might as well get it implanted, because this phone was attached to this young person. Why? Because we're teaching addiction at a very early age. Couldn't be without it. How do you...
Ben, personally, I believe that actually television was the beginning of addiction.
I agree.
There are many Americans watch television 40 hours a week. That's almost 6 hours a day. They don't do anything but get up, eat, maybe work, and watch television. I mean, it's crazy.
I was talking to a gal over the weekend. I didn't know her, never met her before, never saw her before, didn't know who she was, still don't know who she is. And she was complaining about her electric bill. And she said, but it'll get lower as soon as my brother leaves the house. As soon as he moves on and goes someplace else. And I said, why is that? And she said, well, he leaves the TV on 24 hours a day. And she can't stand it. And so she's looking forward to throwing him out or having him leave or move or whatever the situation is, so her electric bill will be a little lower.
Well, I would kick him out overnight. The very first night he tried to leave it on. I mean, I think that's beyond sanity.
Yeah, and so Dr. Shealy, the Rich Scheben talks about the blue screen, the blue light, and you can see it flickering. I'm sure that if you go down any neighborhood street and you look left or right, you will see most houses flickering well into the late hours of the night. Flickering, flickering, flickering. And is that as addictive? I mean, is like the cell phones? Is there an addiction?
I think it's the same kind of nonsense. It's not using common sense or your brain.
I would love to see a study that focused on how much people learned from watching these generally stupid programs. They're called sitcoms. So if someone watched a sitcom, situation comedy, without knowing that there's going to be a test later on, right after it, and the test was administered, and the test said, what was the plot, who was involved, what was said, who said it, and what did you learn from it? I'll bet you that would stump just about anyone watching one of these sitcoms, these mindless, put your brain in park broadcasts. Dr. Shealy, I was buying advertising for an expo many years ago, and I was at the big television station in Springfield, Missouri, and I was in the lobby waiting for the meeting with the person who was going to be discussing advertising with me for, I'll even tell you it was, KY3 is what they trade as, the big television station in Springfield. And in the lobby they had, television screens, so you could be entertained with the current programming. And I was standing in the lobby looking at these screens with Mrs. Finelli saying, who in the right mind would be watching this drivel? It was ridiculous. It was mindless. And, with laugh tracks. And
you're being kind.
yeah. These broadcasts would have laugh tracks. They would have the applause sign. They would take a shot at the camera would turn to the audience, and they're trained SEALs. These people in the audience were trained that when that light comes on and the word applause is lit, then you clap. That's what you clap, because that's in case you didn't know, that's when you're supposed to clap. And it's ridiculous. And laugh tracks, the audio of people laughing at these stupid programs to make you think that what you heard was funny. And you must have missed it because other people are laughing, but it's really the laugh track. How did we get to this point? The Mad Men, M-A-D-M-E-N, Madison Avenue advertisers who duped the American people into thinking that smoking would be good for you. More doctors smoke Tareyton than any other brand. Really? So, okay. So that means you should jump on the bandwagon and kill yourself with cancer. I mean, who doesn't believe that smoking, who thinks that smoking doesn't cause cancer? I mean, is that possible that anybody today would think that? I don't know. I see people smoke. Dr. Shealy, I am at a loss for words at how stupid we have become. How stupid. We are willing to kill ourselves. Not only are we willing to kill ourselves, we're willing to pay for it in the process. A pack of cigarettes in New York City is about $10 a pack. Heck, I remember when you could kill yourself for 25 cents a pack.
Hey, it's part of the dumbing down of humanity. Yes. The IQ, I bet you, I'll give you 10 to 1 odds. The average IQ of a 16-year-old today is lower than it was 70 years ago.
No question. What are your thoughts, George, in New Hampshire? Do you think the average 16-year-old is getting smarter?
I'm tempted to just say, "Hi, Vin, what's up?" I'm sorry.
I'll tell you, George. I'll tell you what's up. My blood pressure.
Well, I know you have Dr. Shealy on standby, so you're in good hands. I'll tell you, between the chemicals and the microwaves, I know the Germans had a weapon towards the end of World War II. They captured it, and I saw pictures of it. It was a microwave weapon, and it was designed to be beamed at men on a front, and within a mile, I guess it gave new meaning to the word splitting headaches. And between the diet and the old story, garbage in, garbage out, right?
Yeah, GIGO, garbage in, garbage out, yes.
I just wanted to say that, what was it, I remember as a child, like in the European homes, or like the transplanted European homes, you'd eat together at the table, especially like on a Sunday. And you'd all sit there and eat, and they'd talk, you'd catch up, whatever. But I noticed when TV came in, they'd have the movies. They'd put some very good movies on, like around noontime, and they'd time it so that while you were there, I realize it now as I'm looking back on it, that you'd be in the middle of movies, and you'd be called into dinner, and you'd ask your parents if you could eat in the other room, in the TV room, because you wanted to keep watching the movie. I mean, I was a child at the time. I'm embarrassed about it now when I think about it, but I realize, like you said, it's very rude.
Yeah. George, hold that thought. We're going to a break, and you'll be back right after the commercial announcements. Dr. Norman Shealy is with us, Springfield, Missouri. NormShealy.com, NormShealy.com. And class, if you would like to be in contact with Dr. Shealy's office and clinic, 417-351-5221. 417-351-5221. Also, a link on the website, usaprepares.com. On the instructors tab, Dr. Shealy is a senior USA Prepares instructor. Also with us, dialing in from New Hampshire, George. Welcome, George.
Hi. Dr. Shealy, if I could ask you this question. When you talk about the average 16-year-old not being as intelligent as maybe so many years ago, previous generations, I know for a fact that the puberty has been dropping, where I believe that in the later 1800s it was somewhere closer to 14 or 15, and now I believe it's fallen even in our lifetimes. That, in other words, I think it's much closer to like 11 or maybe even a little younger now. If you could address that, I'd appreciate it.
Well, I think that the endocrine system, the entire hormonal system, has been changed abruptly by many, many things, including plastics and including herbicides and dish detergent. And, there's a huge number of artificial things that have changed our entire endocrine environment. So it's not that we've improved, we've devolved, if you will, or it's not an advancement in any way whatsoever to have puberty come earlier.
I've noticed, what do you think, Ben, about, I've noticed that they said for the second year in a row, the life expectancy has dropped in this country, while in all of the other industrial nations, they're going up.
Yes,
well, we also,
true.
if I remember correctly, are 36 or 37 in life expectancy and in health compared to other advanced countries. So we actually have contributed more harm to the world than any other nation in history through our industrialization, our artificial chemicals, our nuclear energy contamination, et cetera, et cetera.
Even Coca-Cola and Pepsi, that export, when you think of what that does. I mean, yeah. And politically, I'm told, too, it's just, it's like, it's quite an accomplishment, isn't it, gentlemen, that they can take God's good earth and just take what is good, and over a period of a little more than 100 years, they can turn it around so that 88% of the stuff in the store is actually detrimental to health, and I know for a fact, and I'm sure you both of you gentlemen see it, is that it's just below epidemic, where I noticed the death rate. You have the older generation, say the Korean War group, whatnot, they're living into their 80s. But I've noticed a pronounced differentiation where the next generation seems to be living into their 60s, maybe 67, 68. Of course, there's exceptions, but as a group, I've noticed a lot of them seem to drop off the map. Not trying to be insensitive, they drop off the map at 67, 68 years old, and they're dying. And I've noticed that they're not going to, I would say many of the majority probably will not make it into the 80s or will live as long as their parents.
Well, the average age, so-called average age, varies from 78 to 79 in this country. If people had common sense, average age would be 100. The reason it's so low is smoking and obesity and inactivity.
Yeah. If I may ask another question, not to get off topic, but how do you like shooting, Dr. Shealy?
Well, I don't. I have to admit, I had a wonderful experience with Vincent, John, but I don't like it. It just doesn't fit my personality. I don't like the feel of it. I don't like the. I can't murder somebody.
So you took that over. Okay, the hypocritical.
Well, hold that thought. George, you want to stay with us?
I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll be right back. Dr. Norman Shealy is with us, normshealy.com. His number at his clinic in Springfield, Missouri, 417-351-5221. George in New Hampshire, please continue.
I agree with Dr. Shealy that it's a dead feeling when you shoot. And I think it's a necessary skill to have in this world, but it's not something that, like I say, I when I see a deer or I see an animal, and I'm not talking against hunters, if they utilize the animal and just don't waste it and use it just as a trophy head, I have respect for the need for hunting, but I'm not a hunter. I would much rather watch the animal and just enjoy seeing it in its natural environment. And I mean, but like I say, there's two types of people who have guns. One cannot wait to use it against some other person, and the other kind prays they never have to. But better to have a gun and not need it than to need a gun and not have it, is my philosophy.
Well, I understand that perfectly. And, when my wife was alive, I think I would never have had trouble protecting her. But I honestly, the karma of shooting someone else is more than I could handle. If I had to actually kill the animals that I eat, I would become a vegetarian. And I can't think of any other reason that would make me become a vegetarian. I don't believe in it at all.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Shealy, I totally agree with you. It's almost a full-time job, or it almost was a full-time job, protecting our farm from these crazed hunters who would fire their rifles from their pickup trucks on the road when they saw a deer on our farm, and with total disregard to our cattle on those fields, total disregard to people on those fields, total disregard to our home on that field. And I literally had to stand guard and tell people coming down our road, absolutely, positively, do not hunt on this side of this road for at least the next mile, because if you do, the people who live here just might be crazy, and it would be terrible. I was attacked.
Interesting, a big recently. Article today on the dangers of vegetarianism to your health and brain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Gentlemen, I'd like to read something to you. I was attacked on this particular post on my website over the weekend. And on my website, it was brought to my attention, as well as many other people, that I have this post, and I'm going to read it to you in total. No littering, comma, fine $10,000 to $1 million. We strive to keep it clean and safe for our animal family. This includes space junk, and it was authored by me April 1st, 2018. Any litter found on our farm, if any litter is found on our farm, those responsible are subject to fines of $10,000 to $1 million. This includes cans, bottles, bags, balloons at $10,000 per piece, and space junk at $1 million per piece. All litter will be held as evidence. Poaching, road hunting, and trespass fines are $10,000 per incident per person. Vincent Finelli. And I was attacked over that as showing less than the required amount of civility. And my response to that is littering on our farm with broken bottles, cans, bags that the cows can eat and get killed through this careless littering is unacceptable. And space junk landing on our farm that's radioactive, if a satellite falls down, many of the space junk is radioactive. It's powered by small nuclear reactors. Well, if that lands on our farm or anybody else's property, it will be deemed an EPA Superfund site. You won't be able to go back to your farm. Now think about that. Is $1 million enough? I don't think so. I think that's just an indication that it's serious. So I'm just shocked that I was attacked over that. Absolutely shocked. But that's the kind of, George Carlin said it pretty well. He said, think about how stupid the average American is, and then realize that half of them are stupider than that. That's absolutely true. Absolutely true. Are you seeing that in life in your neck of the woods, Georgia, New Hampshire?
Yeah, and I know you'll see a vacant lot somewhere or in an area that's kind of like a dead-end road where there's no houses. And invariably you'll see the remnants of like a couch dumped off there, where people just pull up and they look at it at their own personal dump and they just dump it and disappear. And to me it was always contemptible, because my feeling is you can see it when you pull into a parking lot. Some car that was parked there earlier, they just finished one of those McDonald's meals or something like that, and maybe they should be maybe some mitigating circumstances there for them acting the way they are because they're on that diet. But anyway, they'll throw the whole proceeds rather than walk over or drive over to the barrel. They'll just throw it right there outside the window, and I, like I said, I never seem to see them do it 90-something% of the time, but like I said, they just look at the world as their personal dumpster.
Yeah, you're right. And so here's a solution, class. I'd love to know what your thoughts are. So if you have McDonald's brand trash thrown on your property, or Burger King brand, or Arby's, or Kentucky Fried Chicken, or the local pizza joint, how about this? How about collecting it and going through their drive-thru and ordering some kind of a drink maybe, or a hamburger, or whatever they sell, and then when you pull up to the window to receive your food, that's in quotes, food in quotes, say, you know what, I changed my mind. But anyway, here, you left this, or one of your customers left this on my yard, and I knew you wanted it back. So here it is. Here's that trash. Now, I think that if enough of us do that, they'll figure out a way to educate their customers to be more considerate of everybody else, because they will get a chance to experience firsthand what having trash dumped in their lap is like. I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
I think they should be compelled to make their packaging materials into biodegradable things that would break down in relatively quick time, like in a matter of days or maybe just a week or two. And I wish that, I'm just saying, because then at least it would compost itself if possible. I know I'm asking for too much, but I mean, Monsanto, McDonald's, and those other ones, in my opinion, like I say, I believe that like Dr. Shealy said, they should be sued out of existence for the garbage and poison that they perpetrated on the public.
George, just as a side comment, I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense. However, McDonald's hamburgers themselves don't decompose.
True.
So, I think they outlast their packaging. I think a McDonald's hamburger left out will survive longer than the wrapper that the McDonald's hamburger comes in, or the bag it comes in. Now, the bag, that little baguette of ketchup, or that little packet, whatever the proper terminology is for that liquefied alleged vegetable that's colored red, that stuff, those packets last forever too. But so, yeah.
Did you see that movie? I think it's called Super Size Me or something. It was about the guy who was in really good shape for a 26-year-old. He was almost like an athlete in terms of his and he had a dietitian, a nutritionist, and a doctor. For the next 30 days, he decided to eat exclusively breakfast, lunch, and dinner at McDonald's. And they said by the third week, he couldn't go on with the study, and his doctor, who was monitoring weekly, said, he didn't tell him what he was doing. He says, whatever you're doing, stop. He goes, this is unbelievable. He goes, medically, this is impossible. He said his liver was beginning to look like someone who had been on Skid Row and been drinking for the last several years. And he says, this is unbelievable. He goes, we've never seen this in type of illnesses coming about so quickly. And they said it took him months after the 30 days to basically, recover sufficiently where he was back to what he was before the experiment.
George, I got to tell you, I did not see the movie. However, I did see the actors and actresses in that movie at the Chinese factory outlet. Walmart. I've seen them. You can see them at your Walmart, too. Just go. Go to any Walmart, and you will see the actors. And
oh God! You're right. You're right. I don't know. Maybe there should be a bounty on litter bugs, and maybe thin out the herd. Maybe somehow there should be some lottery system. I'm sorry. I know. I'm saying it, but I'm saying they're almost like basically eradicating themselves, literally, consciously or unconsciously. They're actually bringing about their own demise with their habits and their own habitat there,
Okay, so let's not stop there. We'll start with litter bugs, and then add to that list, number 2 on the hit parade, politicians. Number 3, CEOs of the largest corporations. Dr. Norman Shealy is with us. George in New Hampshire is with us. And Dr. Shealy, for years, we've been talking about McDonald's. And am I right in saying, well, let me just ask you, Dr. Shealy, how do you feel about McDonald's?
Well, it's slightly better than Monsanto.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay. All right. Well, McDonald's has made the international news. Headline, dailymail.co.uk. McDonald's salad saga rages on. Now more than 500 people in 16 states have contracted explosive diarrhea from a parasite in the healthy dishes. So people have decided that maybe the supersizing, they've had enough supersizing. They can, they've had to buy new pants, new belts, new pants, new belts over and over and over again because they couldn't fit into standard sizes. Well, some of them have tried, in my opinion, they've tried the salads, and they're getting explosive diarrhea from what's believed to be, let's see, what is this parasite? Gosh, it's buried in this article.
E. coli, maybe?
Second. No, cyclosporia. Is that correct, Dr. Shealy? That could be. Is that the name of it? Well, anyway,
yeah.
It's believed to be in the origin in the romaine and carrots used to in these meals, and so you get them with chicken. And so over 500 people in the following states have been sickened by eating at the big factory outlet called McDonald's. Currently, outbreaks have been reported in Florida, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Minnesota, Montana, Nebraska, Ohio, South Dakota, Wisconsin, Connecticut, Michigan, Tennessee, and Virginia. And the point I'm trying to make here is if you think that, heck, if I go eat at a big company, at big company's automated line, you're going to be safe. Well, the answer is, I don't think so. I don't think so, because people in all of those states that I just mentioned, 16 states, have gotten explosive diarrhea. So what is that like? I mean, so you're eating there and all of a sudden, uh-oh. Now, at some McDonald's, you have to have the code to get into the restroom. You have to have the combination to the lock to get into the McDonald's restroom. Absolutely true. So if you've had one of those explosive bouts of diarrhea and you go, uh-oh, I got like 10 seconds, and you race off to the men's room or the ladies' room, and you see the lock on the door, and you don't know the combination, and you run back to your table to try to find that receipt to see if it has the combination. Do you make it? I don't know. But it serves McDonald's right. It serves them right. If that happens. Gosh. The more I
can't all be perfect like us, but they could try.
Yeah. It seems to me that the more I learn about large corporations, the less I like them, the less I trust them, and the more I don't want to be beholden to them or use their services or products. They keep changing the rules. Satisfaction guaranteed or your money back. And then they change it. I'm talking about Sears. They deserve to go out of business. They deserve it because they've cheated us. Go ahead, George.
They've had three of in the North Country here. They've actually eliminated 3 of the outlet stores that were up here. So you've got to go quite a ways now to get to a Sears, relatively speaking, because in other words, like they're continuing to contract.
Yep, I believe that they had a really good business model. Good, better, best in the quality. I believe that they really wanted to take care of their customers because they realized that their customers was their source of revenue and the reason why they're in business. And then they got some MBAs who graduated in the 70s and said, "Hey, we don't need to take care of our customers, just the shareholders. Pay exorbitant salaries to the CEOs, and everything will be great." And it killed the company. They had to sell their building. They had to sell the Sears Tower because they couldn't afford it. And that was the first sign that Sears was going down for good. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Dr. Shealy, thank you so much for being with us.
Hey, have a good one.
Thank you, John.
George, thank you so much for being with us. George, it's great to hear your voice. People have called the farmhouse asking, "Where's George?" Now you know, George is fine.